been a while, not much. How about you? I'm stuck in Dark Souls 2. I guess I really just wanted some help from you. I was thinking maybe later on we could pro around and all that. It's been such a long time and I really do miss your chat. I'm not talking about summoning, and I don't wanna take your life, but there's a Dark Souls 3 beta happening, and I'd really love to podcast tonight.
Episode which is the number after the last one, and I'm proud to announce our special guest, indeed the return of Sayem Ahmed. Hello.
I'm less bad audio now. Hooray!
It's a pleasure to have you back, sir. You are always welcome around these spires and parts.
You have spires?
Especially in their speedos.
Oh, I'd like to see your Speedo spires.
You are a tart, sir. But tell me about your tarting with Dark Souls 3 then. Did you play it at an event or the stress test or both?
I went to Namco a bit before the stress test and got to play all that a little bit early.
Did you go to that very high building with the massive elevator?
Yeah, and I had to sign in and it was real scary. And then I touched Kazuya's butt.
Really?
Yeah, I totally touched his butt. They have a big statue of Kazuya fighting Jin from Tekken.
Is it the one from the logo?
Yeah, and I had a little cusp, a little cup.
It's the one that used to be. I don't know if it's the same one, but there was something similar that used to be in HMV in Manchester. When you went downstairs into the game section.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be something similar to that.
Yeah. Shall we throw it away? No. How did they get it in that elevator? I presume it just breaks apart, but still.
No. I want to take Kazuya's head home with me and just wear it as a mask. But I played for 2 hours Dark Souls 3. And the wall of Idololith.
Iodine?
Was that the same one that was in the stress test thing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I didn't actually play the beta because I didn't get in because I used the wrong email address. Hooray!
So what were your thoughts going in? Because if I remember from Twitter, I think you were none too plussed that this was arriving as soon as it was.
Yeah, I wasn't too hyped up about it. I wrote a thing for it. I was like, this is coming way too soon. I don't know if they're burning the franchise down or just going the way of annual releases or whatnot. But so I sat down, played it with sort of tentative expectations, and yeah, you know what? It's hard to talk negatively about Dark Souls because in the end, it's Dark Souls. It has all of those elements together that are just so amazing. It's like watching an orchestra. When all those elements just sort of align with each other, it's so brilliant, and that's what makes these games special. So I had a good time.
What did you think? What were your initial impressions as you booted into it? Did you have the 4 classes to select from again?
Yeah, I had the 4 classes. I went with Mr. Sword and Board. I think I just went with a bog standard knight guy.
Yeah, because there was. Let me see. There was Wandering Knight, Northern Warrior, Herald of White and Academy Assassin.
Yeah, I think I went for the first one. Just because it was, I knew it. I don't want to mess around with magic. I didn't want to mess around with anything like that.
The Wandering Knight was the one that looked like the sort of duck armor warrior from Demon Souls, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I thought, I started Demon Souls as a knight. I started Dark Souls as a knight. Started Dark Souls 2 as a knight. Let's start as a knight.
Yeah, I was the same with this regard. It's like, I see tradition, I embrace you, let's go.
I know.
It kind of falls apart a bit when you get to Bloodborne, though, doesn't it? I'm a bloke in a coat this time, and then back to a knight.
I got a weird saw. No, it's all good actually, because I had a big sword in Bloodborne. I would have had some words with Hidetaka Miyazaki if there was no big swords in Bloodborne, but there are. And there are also big swords in Dark Souls 3, which I picked up sort of along the level, which is actually like really nicely designed. I mean, it's the same old ruined castle thing, and it uses a lot of the same tricks that the other like starting areas use. So I think the beta area, the demo area, is going to be the starting like first sort of big area you explore in Dark Souls 3, because it just teaches you, it shows the fundamentals of how this is what this game is, and
it does look very level 1.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, a lot of folks sort of mentioned about, it's got that really twisty-turny back on itself aspect that Miyazaki stuff always has, but so did the first level of Dark Souls 2, so I don't really see that regard in there. But I agree, it was very much of a lead-in level. I was surprised at how accessible it was as well, to presumably for somebody that's never played one of the games before, which was really cool.
I think what was really, really cool is that even if you're new, like even coming from Bloodborne, it still has that pace to it. And I because I've played so many hours of the original Dark Souls, when I was rolling around, I instantly knew like the sort of windows for everything, like for the parry, for the backstab, for the roll. Like my timing was just so on point, and I think they've lifted a lot from the original Dark Souls in terms of timing and hidden mechanics, and just plopped it into 3 because they're thinking, you know what, it ain't broke, let's just use it again.
I think
that works really well.
I think they've really interjected sort of a lot of Bloodborne's movement, but it surprised me how well that worked, because I was a little bit resistant with not sure about that, but those jumps, those kind of flings to the left and the right really, really worked. And the surprise for me was that obviously Dark Souls 2 on new gen is 60 frames per second, and this then drops back to 30 frames per second, but it didn't in any way feel slow at all. It still felt responsive and quick, and
it looked.
I mean, Blooders is 30, isn't it, as well? So that's the fastest one of the whole series. So.
Yeah, I think like these games could probably benefit from being 60 frames a second, but like it doesn't really matter that much.
Well, you do get the extra of that kind of kicked in of the smoke effects and the swirling leaves, and it wasn't without atmosphere. It had to be said, but
I think I'm going PC when the game comes out, so. Hopefully, it shouldn't be an issue. So.
You probably have 60 on that front, or at least get a mod sort of quite quickly that tickles it up to that. But
and your durability will be fucked.
Yeah, with that,
fingers crossed it isn't.
With that Wandering Knight, I mean, I was the same with having it as a debut choice, and I liked having the heavier shield. It's as much as I kind of then went from Bloodborne back into Scholar of the First Sin and sort of, oh, look at me, 2 weapons now, and I'm bouncing about like I am in Bloodborne. But I liked having the shield back.
It's a certain safety and comfort, isn't it?
But there was also that aspect of when the character grabbed when you went to two-handed and the character grabbed the sword in both hands, sort of pulled it behind one shoulder.
Yeah.
And then advance forward, and that was sort of much slower. And then there was kind of a hitting into an attack had the potential to throw an enemy up in the air with a down. I'm actually doing these motions now with a downward sort of through upwards sweep. But the timing was really precise, and if you missed, you could be walloped.
I think there was an interview around E3 somewhere where Hidetaka Miyazaki was asked, or like he's intentionally changed like the animations of the great sword to imitate Guts from Berserk.
Cool.
So that's rad. But yeah, those new sword arts are also really cool. I don't know what are they calling them? Are they called sword arts?
I think they are called sword arts. Yeah, I think that is.
Okay. Yeah, those sword arts are really cool. Like, as I said, I mostly used the great sword when I picked it up in the level, because that's how I roll in these games anyway.
No pun intended.
That's how I do not roll.
That's how I can't roll. I think the interesting thing with in that regard was with the massive sword art on a defensive character, you can almost turn it into a really offensive character.
Yeah,
there was a certain strategy in getting that hit right, because if you've got masses of enemies coming at you, or one that was quicker than you when you sort of launched into the sweep, you were fucked. But if you nailed it, man, you could really take out some bastards.
There was a big spinny fat man in the demo, and I remember going in with the greatsword thinking, oh, he's really quick, I'm gonna get screwed, but I just used a sword art and like I finished him quite quickly, and it was like, this is really, really powerful. And I love that the mana bar is back. I just absolutely love that the mana / ability bar is back, just because I like it. It's nice and blue. It separates the screen. I didn't like it when I went away in Dark Souls, or Dark Souls 2. I think that was a welcome change.
There's something that I noticed with the stamina bar, that it had two different colours to it. One of them was green, and one of them was grey that was underneath it. And if you sort of chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped, and you took your stamina bar back to nothing, there'd normally be a build-up of that stamina bar going straight back. But there was depending on, as far as I could tell, depending on the heaviness of your build, or the things that were surrounding you, or presumably if you've been stun-locked as well, there was a pause before like the grey bar went up, and then the green bar followed it, and all of that seemed to be sort of don't know how light you were and how quickly you could recover, and I thought that was really, really good.
I didn't see that. I didn't.
To be honest, I've watched videos of other people playing it, and usually you find when you watch someone else play, you'll notice things they don't. I'd never noticed that either.
Yeah, I just did not clock that. That is really interesting.
It's really, really faint underneath the green bar, but you can sort of see it follow. And I noticed on the heavier builds, there was that reluctance to follow through with like what I would normally get away with a final chop.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to recover quickly enough if I go into this and I'm just exhausted. And especially if somebody then pounces onto me in the meantime, that's going to give me even more of a delay in being able to recover. And it was such a subtle piece of strategy, and I really liked it.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Like the level itself, I found was not that long. It didn't take me very long to get through. Like I had 2 hours in the office to play it, and within like the first hour, I'd explored everything, and then the next hour was defeating the tricky guys. So, like, I do like the sort of aesthetic they've brought to Dark Souls 3, which is everything is light now, but it's sort of smudged and ruined and almost like an expressionist painting, really.
Well, they've said that this is the end of the cycle of renewal, isn't it? That there's ash in the air, and I really like that as a setup. That this constant renewal, and almost like Robin Hood like myths of people and characters and weapons that I know some people found tiresome in Dark Souls 2, but I really liked that this was all coming to an end, and also with Miyazaki and Tanimura sort of
both leading up,
with them both butting heads on sort of the different mythologies. That to me is really fucking exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting to see like lore wise where it goes, because Dark Souls 2 brought it in some pretty crazy directions. So I
think that with Miyazaki and Tanimura working on the level design, that to me really excites me, because I mean I've waved a flag for Tanimura for quite some time, but the point where he got Dark Souls 2 on his own was the DLC.
Oh yeah, that is just amazing.
And if you're matching that level of design up with Miyazaki's level of design, that to me just thrills me. And it's with Tanimura being sole director on Scholar as well. Yeah. You can see that there's a really bladed level of design and a finesse there, and I can't. I'm so excited to sit at the thought of those two working together that closely, because I just think we're going to get something really special, especially given that DLC.
I think given the timing of all of From's releases now, I feel that as if they should be more critical with each installment, with what they're changing and how they change it. So little things like Tanimura and Miyazaki both on level design, I'm sure will be something that a lot of people coming to review will talk about. But I think in the other aspects, it felt like ground I'd already tread before.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard, because in the Dark Souls lore, that's totally the vibe they're going for. But as a player, playing the game itself, like, it just feels like, oh, there's a dragon, let's wait for him.
Yeah,
there's the fire,
very familiar.
Run. It felt very familiar, and I just hope they do something. I hope they go just absolutely wild.
Well, I think there's. We'll touch on it later, but Miyazaki's explained sort of that level away, really, and the familiarity in there. But I mean, let me think. Sort of character-wise, we touched upon the Wandering Knight. There was the Northern Warrior, which had got a battle axe, a round shield, a small shield, and a torch. The Herald of White, which was a mace, a guardian shield, a talisman, and a torch. And then another one that I really favoured was the Academy Assassin, which was a sort of had a tri-corner hat, this sort of iron skull-like faceplate over the mask, and a tiny saucer of a shield and a spear.
Was that the one that looked a little bit like a Bloodborne?
Yeah, very much like a Bloodborne, yeah.
I saw someone else there using that character, and they were tearing everything up.
Well, the interesting note with the spear that the character had here was that while you got extra power from two-handing it, you didn't get the same reach as when you were one-handing it and hitting R2.
That's interesting.
So you imagine I'm doing the actions again on radio.
It's good radio.
If you've got sort of both hands on the spear, you're thrusting out to a certain degree in front of you, but there was this real lurch of the right-hand side of the body with the spear to throw it forward, and almost like the grip slid down to the end of the spear. So this real throw out there. So you've got momentum to take things out at much more of a distance than you have with a spear before. And it was it was another one of those little finesses where I kind of went, ooh.
just ooh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The weird thing was that when I played with the 4 different classes, I had 4 different experiences, and I know that one of the criticisms of Bloodborne has been builds, and with these extra sort of little tweaks and stuff that were in there, I kind of dug that, and I agree with you. I mean, in this case, we had a catalyst on this character, and there were a number of soul arrows, etc. And I liked the blue Estus. I thought it was a good little touch.
I like it as well. It's great. I love that little mana bar so much. You don't know.
Well, it sort of nudges back towards Demon Souls a little bit as well. And that level did feel very Demon Souls.
Yeah, this is why I really like the sort of tone they're going for. Like, I felt that Demon Souls felt a lot more oppressive than Dark Souls 2 or Bloodborne ever did.
Yeah, I agree.
And if they launch towards lean into the Demon Souls aspect a bit more, I will be really, really happy with the game. But it's still quite a way out, and like From Software likes to toy about with mechanics right up to the last second. So there's going to be something in there, I reckon. Something that is going to just, like the insight in Bloodborne.
I think they're going to perhaps lead us in with a level like we've seen, and then just throw hell into a handbasket, I guess. But
Yeah, because
yeah, go on.
I think that there was a certain the end of Dark Souls of Dark Souls felt really unchained. Sorry, unleashed. Like, this is the world. This is mental. Look at it. Now you're underwater. There's a big fire demon. Like, I want to see more fantasy aspects of it. We've all seen a ruined castle. We've all seen these weird hell demons. Now just let's go into space or something. I don't know. Let's go to the sun and fight someone next to the sun and do something really weird and crazy. Because that is the way I want this series to go out.
That's
not with
the
a whimper, but with a
version.
bang.
That's the extreme version of praising the sun, like literally standing on the surface of it, being like, I'm praising it so hard.
In that regard, could you imagine if the final flame was the sun and you were looking down on the moon and you're just having this massive battle with something on the surface of the sun?
Yeah, and then there were mechs that you got in.
And then there was this Harrier jump jet and it turned upside down and Smarties fell out and suddenly you got wings.
and then it was just Die Hard.
I think that's right. Write this down, Paddy, before we put this out. We're copywriting this.
Yep.
So yeah, Demon Souls wise, I thought in this regard that there were quite a few enemies that leaned back into the level of fortified oppression that was there in Demon Souls.
Oh yeah.
That you got lads with shields that like to keep them up as long as those guys in Demon Souls.
Yeah.
And rather than being able to just kind of chink at the side with your weapon and lull them into breaking an attack, those attacks were much more conservative. And sort of when they launched, they were devastating. But often you get one of those big shield guys up close and just holding guard, and in the distance you'd have somebody launching fire arrows. And if you turned to maybe go towards the other guy, you get nobbled. And if you took your eye off the guy with the shield, that's the point where you kick him with the attack. Bastard.
Did you find with those knights later on in the level, they had a same/similar moveset to the Red-Eyed Knights in Demon Souls?
Yes.
Which there has not been a single enemy in any Souls game that I've found more terrifying than the Red-Eyed Knights in Demons. And so I started using my normal tactics against them. So I was like, okay, I'll hit him, and then while he's got his shield up, I'll just turn around, kite around, and try and backstab him. But as I'm kiting around him, he just smacks his shield into me.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant. That's such a good way to counteract backstab baiting on NPC characters, because it's so easy to just tear through a level if you just run through it backstabbing everyone.
You'd also got the thing with him that in the first regard when I took him on as kind of the Duck Knight from Demon Souls, and went into a sword art and just knocked him the fuck up in the air and finished him off. Oof. But when I was on one of the bouncier characters, I tried doing the Bloodborne thing of right, I'm going to leap over there, leap behind you and get you from there. And rather than him throwing into an attack, he just kind of watched me run round him. and sort of continually moving, continually arcing round, and when I'd run out of stamina, twatted me, which was
they're a lot smarter.
Yeah, there was a wonderful strategy in there which made me think I can't use quickness against you, which I've been able to use in the previous games, because you're on to me.
Because once you get comfortable with a Souls game, you can afford to run around enemies and jump about a lot more. You're a lot more free. It's basically anyone who's done a one bro run knows how to run around the game and command it basically and direct it. I feel that Dark Souls 3, what that's doing with experienced players is they're sort of pulling onto the rug again. It's haha, you've done this for four games now, and now you can't do it anymore. Adapt. And that's what I really like about these new enemies.
I think they're almost pulling back though to Demon Souls within that level of fear and strategy and oppression. That they seem less gamey, and that level of extra I don't know, insight, no pun intended, that they've got. They generally the bigger knights seemed not just to be sort of taller, bigger enemies, but actually seemed to be more intelligent as well, and that was always there in Damonzi.
And that's scary when an enemy knows what you're doing and then counteracts you straight away. I was just like, oh no, and I immediately died, because once you lose that focus, especially in a Souls game, then you're finished. Like, so when something comes, like, catches you off guard, then it's just say bye. So I came out of that demo thinking like Dark Souls 3 was doing stuff, and I just really hope it goes in like I said before, a crazy direction.
So yeah, there was one enemy as well that was quite bloodborne, I'd say. There were loads of people that were praying at certain points in front of statues, and an enemy arrives with an incense burner and starts to swing it. Sort of goes, and suddenly all the praying locks start attacking and stuff. And I thought that was really kind of cool.
Yeah, because they were passive, I was just sort of like, they're probably cool. And then this lady comes in with the thing, and then I just got swarmed upon. It was crazy.
The cool thing there, I think, was when you first encountered the praying lot, and the incense burner sort of lady walks up the stairs like almost like straight in front of you in the distance. There's a point further on in that level where you walk into a room, everything attacks you, and she's behind the door that you've just walked in.
I think yes, yeah.
And I was like, no. And I'm sure it was only when I died that I saw her sort of walk out, and I was like, you were directly standing to the right of the door that I walked into, and I got mobbed upon. But yeah, and also there seems to, going back to the Demon Souls thing, there seems to be that wonderful thing that was there in Demon Souls where you had to choose your weapons a lot more carefully, depending on the environment that you're in. You can't just run around with a big sword and sort of hope for the best. You really have to consider the speed of your enemies. I don't know. You have to think on the fly with regards to the strategy that you're going to take them down, and the next enemy, and what's in the distance. So you sort of torn in a few different directions.
Yeah, I think there were a few parts in that demo where like you were in a tight space. So because I'm normal greatsword user, I was like, okay, this is probably not for the best. So you switch back to the straight sword, and like even the sword art with the straight sword is really cool. Like I started playing around with that in those tight spaces where it actually works really well because there's not that much distance between you and an enemy. So I think they're going for that whole new element of like sort of pacing between characters as well. It's almost like how pro players pace each other in Street Fighter, really. Where it's all about the space and the distance between you and them, and who can get there first, and who can deal the most damage and not get preyed upon.
There was a cool aspect with a cursed sword as well, that if I remember rightly, that the sword art was using it with two hands. You could kind of pull it apart.
Yeah, it pulls apart, and you do this mad two-handed attack. It was
And then there was was it the bastard sword that you picked up at a certain point, which was just bastard and huge.
Oh yeah, and then it was like I'm doing the action like you, CJ.
This is some great radio.
The character sort of grips his sword and steps forward, and as he steps forward, you have to hit the other button, and that's when he goes vroom, and just hits someone.
Well, there seems to be a wonderful differential in the weapons again, and I think they needed to scale back the amount of weapons from Dark Souls 2 because there were far too many in it. But there seems to be more strategy in the weapons that you used again, and that to me comes back to the lessons of Demon Souls as well.
Yeah, I think that I hope they make every weapon viable.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's something I took from Bloodborne. It's like you can finish this game with any weapon in the game, and with Dark Souls 2, I felt that a lot less. So, like,
because I've heard there's going to be a lot of like new weapons and a lot of returning weapons in Souls 3, and that gives me more cause to concern. It's like, do you need 14 different straight swords, really?
No. You have your straight sword, your claymore, your ultra great sword, and that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think it depends on the level that they're going to sort of tickle in with a bit of nerdery and lore in there, I guess. But give us some stuff that we've not used before. Let you play in different ways, but don't throttle us in the way that they did in 2.
Yeah, I really liked the twin blades in 2, but they were just really, really bad. So
they looked
I never
cool.
ended up using them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it was like, oh my
the
god, I'm going
movesets
to
were
make Darth
amazing.
Maul.
Yeah.
But then again, there were a few that I think were underused in 2 as well that people looked over. I know that when I was fighting and I used the is it like the spider sword, the one that like sort of gooped people up? Very few people used that, and if I used it as my kind of third weapon, one that I bring out a little way into the fight, so that people think that they got the measure of me, then all of a sudden they were spunked to the floor and receiving my mighty sword. That was
wow.
What? God, you're so rude. There'll always be an English. But yeah, it's a balancing act between the not having too much and also having enough that sort of little quirks and secrets in there. I think
options, but not bloat. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I do like Miyazaki's come out and was like, yep, this is like the last Souls game, so I really hope they just make some crazy mech game and put as many weapons as you want in that, please.
If only they had a mech franchise that they'd ignored for a little while, but probably could do with a little bit of TLC.
Yeah, I know. Like, what could that be? Like Marmage S'more?
I did something like that, yeah.
Oh.
That just sounds like something you put on a stick and sort of put on a bonfire. Would you like another Marmage S'more? I would.
It smells like it's made of Marmite.
What?
Marmite S'more. This is it.
So
this is our moment. Pitch it to From.
There was one thing that I thought was really funny as well, that the dead dogs that were in the level. Like I was saying this to Pad. Imagine a tennis person hitting a ball. The ball has momentum, comes towards tennis person, and tennis person hits the ball and it cannons away. Now imagine the tennis racket is a mace and the ball is a dead dog. hitting the dog as it dives towards you, you actually smack it away from you. And I laughed out loud when I first did it. I was like, where are all the rest of the dogs? I wish to play more.
Dog tennis.
Why isn't that? Obviously it's cruelty. But if they're dead, they don't know any different. They're attacking me.
But right, aren't maces spiky? So wouldn't you get like a bit of dog stuck on your mace if you're batting it away?
And there are lots of fires around. So you could have that for your main meal, and then some Marmage S'more as like a pudding, maybe. Don't know. The dogs did look but far better than those sort of beige Dulux dogs that were in Bloodborne.
Dulux dogs.
Yeah,
be nice to my big fluffy Labrador friends.
Yeah, and the way they looked and moved in this was pretty impressive.
Yes, it is distinctly different to how the AI works in the other games as well, so that was a welcome change.
I will say that enemy poise plays a big part in the level as well. There were points where I had a pop at larger enemies, those that were more spindly but tall,
yes.
And it's a strike that I thought might knock them out of what they were doing didn't. And if they were in the throes of an attack animation, they would completely follow through with it.
And
it wasn't just the fat chunky lads that you were thinking, I'm not going to knock you over. If somebody's got verticality as well, they've got the momentum. I'm doing it again. They've got the momentum of a swing. You weren't going to knock those out of it. So that played sort of on my preconceptions a fair bit as well.
Yeah. I hope they do more of that. It's shaping up to be really great. I really had I got a sort of newfound hope in it because I did feel like I'm going to be burnt out on the whole Souls thing now. Like they are Dark Souls is my favourite game, but I did feel as if I was going to be kind of burnt out on it. But to my surprise, I wasn't. I just want to see more of the game now. So
did you kick in with any gold pine resin during your playthrough?
It didn't work properly.
It lasts about 15 seconds now, and I kind of liked it.
In the build I played, it was broken.
Oh, right, okay. It may well have been in this, but rather than it just being sort of, you're crackling it onto your weapon and it lasting like a minute and a half, it was literally about 15 to 30 seconds. So you would, but it was like a pop onto the weapon and then using it quickly and sort of then it disappearing. I thought that's going to be really good in the midst of a fight, because rather than you having to do the
5-second animation,
that it's something that could be kicked in and applied instantly,
like even like possibly like as you're running towards them.
Absolutely,
really
yeah.
Cool.
I dug that in a big way, I must admit. Did you do much of the multiplayer?
It wasn't there in the build that I played.
No.
The build that I played was the first PS4 build, so everything was like, it was a lot earlier than the.
Lots of enemies standing in T poses, that sort of thing.
No, not quite that, but it was like shaky in places. Audio was weird, so
Right, so friend of the show, Timur Hussain, did a really good interview with Hidetaka Miyazaki a couple of days ago.
Old Tamworth,
Mr. T. And so, to those people that haven't had the interview, we're going to stage a radio play now. Patrick Smith,
hello.
You'll be playing the role of Timur Hussain.
Okay, is he Scottish?
He's not Scottish.
Okay.
As long as I've known him, he's not been particularly Scottish.
It's a Scottish name. I thought I'd better check.
You could no, don't do a Scottish accent, because that would really be bizarre. No.
Well.
Sayem, you will be playing the role of God in this interview.
I can't do. What voice? What voice should I do?
You can just be.
He's Mexican.
There. And I will be doing Timur's brief introduction, and I also, so that GameSpot doesn't lose any revenue, I'll be doing the adverts on the page as well.
Wow.
So let me see. So it's basically Dark Souls 3 interview. It wouldn't be right to continue creating Souls. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 available now. Black Ops is back. Watch launch trailer PS4 18. Hidetaka Miyazaki on moving on from the Souls series, New Horizons, and a secret obsession.
Why are you allowed to do a voice?
With me, Sean Bean. Hidetaka Miyazaki says he's ready to close the book on Dark Souls. In an industry where it's commonplace to stretch the popularity of franchises across annual iterations, that may be hard to believe, but he thinks it's critical to the future of his studio, From Software. In May 2014, Miyazaki was appointed as the head of From Software, and yet the father of the Souls series appears to have little interest in stepping away from the design and settling into a management role. Possibly the best testament to this is that our interview took place in a sound-dampened studio, where Miyazaki had just finished work on some Dark Souls 3 audio. Really now, Miyazaki-san, you can delegate this stuff. Such actions speak for themselves, but his words are just as illuminating. In this interview with Timur Hussain, Miyazaki discusses his ambitions to move away from Souls, along with a recent beta, the advent of many other Souls-like titles, and a surprising new obsession. So, take it away, Timur Hussain.
Dark Souls 3's network test beta drew a mixed response. How representative of the overall gameplay do you think it was?
Are you going to do a different accent for every line? Because that could run out in very, very quickly.
So, from a design perspective, there's a lot of different aspects you could mean. It was primarily used to test multiplayer, and obviously it was designed so corrections and adjustments could be based on feedback. As far as the map, the enemies, and number of choices you have for playing characters, fighting styles, and that kind of thing. It's only a very small slice of the entire game, so in that sense, it doesn't represent the total experience.
It's like interviewing Batman.
You made your bed now.
I ask because I played it quite a bit, and I felt that there weren't very many surprises in there for veterans of the series. I felt quite comfortable.
Paddy tomorrow is going to kill you.
It's fine, bring it. I felt quite comfortable in it, which is not what I would usually get from a Souls game. The worry is that it may have become a bit too familiar, and the game overall may be more of the same.
Actually, the slice of the game shown in the beta was one of the more standard parts. The creation of the game began by working on the very standard elements and achieving a balance, so there we can all be at the same starting point. It certainly won't be the case where feeling you had with the beta will continue into the entirety of the game. You do not have to worry about that.
Right, are you going to explain the video now, CJ, or should we skip ahead?
No, skip ahead. And I will say that if Sayem is doing Hidetaka Miyazaki as kind of like a cross between Darth Vader and Brian Blessed, you really need to up your game on at least giving your the lines that you're doing for Timur a little more gravitas.
Hang on. Okay, so I'm gonna take Timur to school.
Rather than sounding like a 12-year-old extra from EastEnders.
I can't do anything right. Okay, hang on. Let's take fake Timur to school. Let's learn him some.
You could just say it as you. You could just say it as you.
You told me to be it as Timur.
What? But Timur doesn't sound like that.
Timur isn't a little boy. He's a grown man.
He was a little boy once.
I doubt anybody other than somebody that was playing I don't know Oliver in an East End production in some sort of small church backshed in front of 3 parents would ever sound like that. Over the last few years, see, that's even better than yours.
Oh,
how dare you? I love Timur. How dare you?
I love him too, but if you can't parody someone, then they're not worthy of it.
And let's be real, Hidetaka Miyazaki might as well be a demon. So,
yeah,
right?
Same. I think in an instant you've nailed this, Paddy. I'm professionally and for the sake of our friendship, I need you to step up.
Okay, I'll step up.
I need you to believe.
I've had a harrowing day. I need to get there.
I didn't lose my head as a start for this shit.
Okay, let's up this a little bit then. Hang on. Okay. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of Souls games. Dark Souls 2, Scholar, The First Sin, Bloodborne. Is there a worry that people may be overexposed to the franchise?
It would be a lie if I said I had no concerns about that. I don't think it'd be the right choice to continue indefinitely creating Souls and Bloodborne games. I'm considering Dark Souls 3 to be the big closure on the series. That's not just limited to me, but From Software and myself together want to aggressively make new things in the future. Dark Souls 3 will mark the last game where development on the project began before I became president. The next title will be a game that was conceived while I was president. I believe that From Software has to create new things. There will be new types of games coming from us, and Dark Souls 3 is an important marker in the evolution of From Software. I don't care about what type of president I'll be in the future or how I will be remembered. I just believe that moving on is necessary in order for players to continue enjoying our games. We have to keep creating quality games and be aggressive in doing new things.
You did skip one of my lines, but we'll skip over it.
Christ, I completely did not see that. I got really into it.
No, I didn't want to break it. You were enjoying it. It was aggressive.
I can see this is now going to become a Twin Humanity staple where we find an interview about the Souls games online, and then we do them in strange characters. But I genuinely doubt that anyone is going to come near that. You've set the bar, Timur.
I'm sorry, I'm still with the combination
Also,
of aggressive and president. I feel quite patriotic right now, and I don't know why.
I got quite impassioned there, I think.
No, it's good.
From
Software.
Okay, now. Okay. How do you feel about the legacy of Souls, then? The landscape of the action RPG genre has shifted somewhat in response to your games. Sip of brandy. There's games such as Lords of the Fallen and Titan Souls, among many others, that draw inspiration from Software's titles.
We don't really feel that our games have created a standard. I have no concerns over others making similar, worse games. It just shows that players wanted games that were like this, that are difficult, and wanted other studios to make challenging games that achieve that same level of satisfaction. We enjoy that these games and their approach to creating them are never the same anyway. We enjoy seeing the differences. We're totally fine with seeing more games that come out and borrow aspects. Our main focus is keeping game creation fresh for ourselves.
What elements of the action or RPG genres stand out to you as needing attention? What do you feel players would respond to that isn't out there at the moment? I'm turning into Bryan Cranston.
No, that's I applaud this.
I don't find it fun or productive to envision what direction should be for the genres or for the industry as a whole. I don't believe in the top-down approach to that sort of thing. On a personal level, however, I certainly have ideas for what might be interesting to do and what would be cool. But these ideas can be linked to concepts of our upcoming games, so I won't give you any details on that.
Sam's going to be mute after this.
He's not going to talk. How beholden to the two previous games will Dark Souls 3 be? There are references to Lord of Cinder, but is it going to be ambiguous in the same way previous games have? Or are you going to be clear and direct, given you want it to be the final chapter? I'm doing the fucking hand gestures.
You know I wouldn't make everything completely clear about a story, but there is the conclusion to a large theme that is continued throughout this entire series. Something that will leave you with the impression of what Dark Souls was really about. Tell you about the overarching theme.
You said large theme with the same intonation as massive dick.
Timur, please keep it together for the sake of the viewers. And Mr. Miyazaki.
Okay. There were some pictures there. Are you going to explain them?
No.
You're a bad advert. You draw quite heavily on Berserk, and I've said repeatedly that you're a big fan of it. What else is in your well of inspiration?
The roots of my fantasy ideas are in Sorcery by Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, the adventure game books. Out now in Waterstones.
They're not, though.
Oh,
Maybe they are.
other bookshops are available.
Anything more recent that has caught your attention?
When I play games, I have a director's perspective, so it's hard work and hard for me to have a pure experience, just to enjoy something on the same level as others may. However, the thing that I enjoy right now on a pure level is Hearthstone. It's not connected to Dark Souls 3, but I love Hearthstone. There are some board games too, like Eclipse. The design of Eclipse is amazing. It's really fun.
Someone get Sayem a towel. If you could take over any game franchise and had unlimited budget, which would you pick? Which would you pick? Past or present, you can revive a property if you want. It could be...
Anytime you like, Eddie Tarker, anytime you like. I'll nip into Greg's. Do you want out?
Just a cheese and onion pasty. Not one of those little pizza things.
Egg custard.
Standard Greg's procedure.
Yes,
Egg
okay.
custard.
Then. And a Coke.
Okay.
That's a hard question. I don't think I've thought about that. What do you think?
What would I like you to do? The legacy of Cain, Soul Reaver.
Really?
Yes! a vampire kingdom in ruins which the player explores many years after its downfall, learning of what has happened. It's perfect for you.
I understand. I haven't thought about this at all.
But it's a really hard question. I see things like this, and I like the direction they're going and try and bring in some of the elements to do something inspired by those. A lot of the times, that's the level I end up thinking on. Do I get the development team?
You can build your own team, using your own people. Or existing ones. Remember, you have unlimited budget.
Wow! Ultima Online? Or EverQuest?
That'd be great. But seriously, Legacy of Cain, Soul Reaver. Please get to work on that.
Okay. 1 second. Actually, I really look up to the Elder Scrolls. I find it very inspiring.
Oh, are you playing Fallout 4?
Actually, as a game, I found Fallout 3 to be very interesting, but I like fantasy. I tend to gravitate towards Oblivion more.
I'm back from Greg's.
Oh, finally. Did you get that Coke I asked for?
I did. I got an egg custard, and the ones around here, I found one with trifle. You never find trifle these days. It's quite an orange one. It's got little bits of tangerine in.
Ah, shit. I forgot to ask for a gingerbread man. I always love those.
I knew you were gonna say that. I brought one for all of us.
Oh, you darling. You absolute stunner.
GameSpot News. Halo 5 sales underwhelming. EA Star Wars Battlefront backfire. These Steam machines are $200 off, starting at $299 today only. Destiny Refer a Friend rewards. Exclusive swords, emotes and more. First image release from DC's Wonder Woman, plus full cast announced. Gaming deals. $90 for 2 new PS4 games, $20 PS TV, $40 PlayStation Plus, Fallout 4 Xbox One bundle giveaway.
And scene.
Well played, all. I think we did justice to that. I'm sorry to more.
How's your voice?
Sorry,
how was it?
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
I'm not sorry. Sorry to more. I enjoyed it.
I would like you professionally to give up all of your writing work and to be the official dub translator for Hidetaka Miyazaki, because I think he would approve of that.
I think he would as well. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think that'd be great. You know, you get like Barty and just like, so who you talking Miyazaki?
How do you feel about leaving Bloodborne and coming back to Dark Souls?
Well, as you see,
Just talk more about gravitating
gingerbread
to
man from Greg's. If not, then piss off.
Struth! Right, so in I did a marvellous round of applause for everyone there. In other Souls 3 news, we had 2 collector's editions leaked by a retailer. So
Which retailer was it? Was it Game?
I think it
was some Arabic one or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. But they look pretty legit, to be honest. And there's 2 different statues. There's one with a sort of red knight and one with a Lord of Cinder. Each comes with a metal case and an art book and a cloth game map, soundtrack, iron-on patches, and
because it's the same stuff, isn't it, in both packs except for the figure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different boxes that surround.
So,
them,
CJ, where are you
because
going to put both of them?
I'll tell you what, I'll be selling a kidney to get both of those. Bloody hell. So, I mean, yeah.
Just hit me with the price. Just go on.
There's been a few people that have tried calculating it, but they think that they might be sort of way off. But I'd imagine what a statue version is normally. A regular statue is what, 90 quid? Maybe?
Yeah, that's what
these
Witcher
sort of
was, and The Witcher was an amazing collector's edition.
And then, considering that second statue is massive, are we going to be talking like about 150 quid for that second one?
Yeesh. Yeesh.
I'm all right with the little PC code.
Yeah.
Buy a digital distribution number, thank you.
They do look rather nice though. And
Have you seen the? I've seen the comparison. Have you seen the comparison next to the old Dark Souls 2 Hyde Knight statue? It's like a good,
it looks massive.
half again as tall. I don't know where that's going to go.
Really?
It's huge.
That's the thing. I wouldn't mind getting these like heavily armored dudes, but where would they fit? Because I've just got tons of Gundams everywhere, just like little robots. So Big Knight wouldn't fit in. Like I have the same problem. I have a Gabranth figure from Final Fantasy 12, and I just don't know where to put him because he just doesn't fit with my legion of tiny robots.
Yeah, but I can see these complementing sort of the Fram armoured knight.
Well, you could set these next to your Gabranth, who incidentally I thought was called Gabranath for a very long time.
That's much cooler than Gabranth.
Right? I thought, oh, that sounds cool. And then I heard it said out loud, like, oh, okay.
Right, so Paddy and I, just to kind of touch in, we have kind of tickled into our co-op run a little bit further. We had our first wanderings into the DLC. I think we might have mentioned that last time.
I think we mentioned it, didn't we?
But we faced the first boss that we'd come across, which was the Fume Knight. We probably shouldn't have been there yet, but it was great to be somewhere thoroughly new for the two of us. And that boss did tour us a new arse.
We shouldn't have been in any of that place. That place was too good for us. We were eking our way through that.
I mean, in my own run, I managed to get kind of a human to join in the summers, and I think there were kind of maybe 3-4 extras on top of myself, and it was still a hard fight.
He always is though.
We literally had one run at it, and it was stupid. It was stupid. We're not the right level. We're not the right level. We need to go and do more of the game.
All you have to do is believe, right? And
all right, Naruto, calm down.
Yeah. I was going to go with Parappa the Rapper, but okay, carry on.
Yeah, but it was nice for it not to be just the surprises within levels that we'd been through before, to see you like really, really out of your depth and like, what's going on, and that verticality of the level.
Yeah, because it's very rare you get to go through a Souls thing like for the first time. Like the first run is always the one you kind of remember, and because I still like, this is my first touch of all the DLC. Like I never touched it on the PS3 because I kind of knew there was a big version coming at some point. Plus, cheap bastard. So I waited. I thought 20 quid. Nah, I'll wait. Now I don't think twice about that stuff. But at the time I was like, nah, I'll wait. And like, this is really my first look at any of it. And it's fucking terrifying.
It's great, isn't it?
There's mountains that chase you.
What do you make of the Dark Souls 2 DLC anyway, then, Sayem, and of the Crown of the Iron King in particular? I guess
it is the best bit of Dark Souls 2. All of them. I think Iron King in particular absolutely floored me. Like, it is stunning in places. The lift, the boss fights, everything. Like, I was absolutely in love with all of the Iron King DLC straight from the get-go. I do admit I have not finished Ivory King yet, but I plan to. I just have to find a time where I can actually play the games I want.
Have you been through Electric Ponyland in the Ivory King?
No.
Oh, it's
No.
phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I've hardly touched Ivory King. I finished Iron King, and then I sort of petered out. But the thing is that this isn't a Scholar of the First Sin save either.
Oh, okay.
So I've bought Scholar, and I plan to make a new character at some point and just storm it all to get to the Ivory King.
Did you pick it up on PS4 or PC?
I picked it up on PC.
Okay. I was going to say, if it was PS4, you'd have had to. It would have been fun to see you sort of build a character and then jump in with us and
I think
see if we can have an all-star strike down on the DLC.
I think I'll probably pick it up on PS4 when it is like a $5 because it's Dark Souls. So, like, you need a physical copy of Dark Souls somewhere in your house. I have 7 copies of Dark Souls. So,
yeah. I also have that affliction. Also waiting. I know it's apparently on the list, but it didn't turn up on the original backwards compatibility stuff for the Xbox One.
Oh, it didn't.
No, and I'm wondering if it might be on like Games with Gold next week or something, because they've got to make a splash with the 360 games there, because they are going to be backwards compatible. It's just on the cusp of Christmas. Imagine if Dark Souls is there.
Oh, all right. It's not on there because they're working on a HD up res. I would absolutely wet myself.
I think both are going to happen.
Yeah, at some point.
But it'd be interesting to in the way that Mass Effect is kind of uber v-synced in the background, and all of the screen tearing and popping and stuff is just disappears. It would be cool to see if the Xbox One takes the strain on things like Blighttown and stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's been so long since I played the original Dark Souls that I'm looking forward to starting things fresh again.
Have you done a one bro run, CJ?
We've done half of a one bro run.
Not to completion, but
well, there you go. That's your aim for the next run. It is the one bro run.
We got halfway and like Noodle
to join
Arms
the Legion.
happened.
Yeah, we had a thing whereby I think we were in Ornstein and Smo, and we completed it in Paddy's game, and then all of a sudden Paddy's mojo just disappeared. Either that or he didn't care, and he just I've died again. It's like,
see,
it's
happened
hard
to me in my one bro run, and then I think I really battered my head against the 4 kings, and I defeated them straight after Ornstein and Smo, so I could be a Dark Wraith, and after that I just lost it in fighting Nito. So I left it for a good 6 months, then came back to it and finished all the rest of the bosses in an afternoon.
bloody hell.
Yeah. So maybe you need that. Like, Dark Souls is one of those games that if you get frustrated, like, take a step back.
If Paddy and I one bro the game together, co-oping together, does that make it kind of one bro and friend? Or like 2 bro?
Two
Two
bro.
bro. No, that's it. That's it. The 2 bro run. You're done. You're sorted.
1 bro, also friend. So,
1 plus 1 bro.
I will, and so we touch upon sort of Twitch players here every now and again, and I will have to mention someone that's doing their debut run of Dark Souls, a very cool lady called April Ultima on Twitch that I've retweeted a few times on the Twin Humanities site, and she's just a really cool lady. The people in chat are really neat as well. She's now up to the Centipede in Lost Isleth and has not done the DLC yet. So there will be a meeting with Artorias very, very soon.
Artorias is always a great fight to watch other people play for the first time.
Yeah.
I watched Vinny from Giant Bomb smack his head against Artorias for hours and hours on end. Like, to the point where the last run where I actually fought him, like, there were 2 commentators that were just completely silent, and you could just feel the tension in the air, and that's what I love about watching Souls.
Yeah, I know that feeling. 34 times it took me. I was counting.
But when it's someone's debut Souls run, I think that's my favourite stuff to watch, because that's the one that you can of your own that you could never get back. And you know, my first Dark Souls run, I did everything completely wrongly, but it was the best run that I ever did because I was just acting on instinct. It wasn't about, oh, you should do it like this, or this is the best strength weapon that's at the available from the first merchant. It was just like, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing.
It's why Dark Souls has been so
to
brilliant. It's why Dark Souls has been great. Because there's been so much, like, you listen and go, ha, forward and B. Like...
Especially because Turner's plays, like, an unreliable narrator at points. It's great.
Yeah. He's really not the right person for that, and that's why it worked.
Yeah,
because the new one's just gone up, hasn't it, with the Midnight Resistance lads talking lore.
Yeah, that's a good episode as well.
On a Twitch front as well, I will mention that I Love Jessica Biel is back doing PvP, playing lots of electronic pop, laughing like an evil devil Santa, and he's a good chap, so that's worth tuning into also. Plus True Talent, who's a Street Fighter player by trade, who taught me tons and tons and tons about Souls PvP and reading other players and stuff, is currently tucking into the Bloodborne DLC. And he's astonishingly good at it. Easily the best game I've ever seen play a video game. The way that he reads things is just insane.
Yeah, you guys need to get into competitive Street Fighter.
I like watching fighting games. I've watched a lot of True Talent sort of playing Mortal Kombat X and Street Fighter and stuff. And I watched a lot of the Persona fighting game as well.
Oh, that's an Arc System Works one, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm terrible at games anyway. But
that's the thing. I'm awful at Street Fighter, but if you want to get good for when Street Fighter 5 comes out, now is the time. So I've been butting my head against Street Fighter 4 for a while, trying to get to grips with the basics of the game and stuff like that. And there's upcoming like a huge tournament as well. If you are interested in like reading players and that whole thing, basically Capcom run a pro tour over the year, and it's coming up to the top 32 players in the world in the final Ultra Street Fighter 4 championship coming up next week. So that is definitely something to watch out for if you're a fan of like esports and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like
really cool high level stuff. Yeah,
Patrick, there's a new Tekken coming out for you.
Hey,
and it's on VR.
I know, right? What the fuck's up with that?
VR.
Will I get to be in Kazuya's head and look at people as I punch them in synchronicity? Like, that'd be great.
I don't know.
Finally, that their Bloodborne, the Old Hunters DLC came out today.
Did it? I had no.
Are you a fan of Blooders? And are you looking forward to the new DLC, Sayem?
Yes, I am a fan of Bloodborne, the video game, and the DLC I am waiting to play actually, because I've got a lot of stuff to do for work, so I'm waiting for an empty time where I can sit down, have a breather, a cup of tea in hand, sit down and watch some properly horrible stuff happen to me on screen while I get mauled in the new Bloodborne.
Right, what you need to do is put the tea down, then...
And make a coffee.
No, put both
We're not
hands
having this
on
argument.
the controller. Like,
We're not having this
one
argument. Maybe put the tea down. Drink the tea first. Then
Place
I will
the tea
be
down.
caffeinized.
Yeah,
true
that's
horror.
a word.
Don't drink and drive. Drink then drive.
How did we get to this?
I don't know.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the Old Hunters. I haven't had a chance to look at anything really, so all I know is that there's a weapon and I want to use it, and it's called the Boom Hammer.
Yeah, apparently the weapons in there are rather good, and one of the big boss battles that I saw on True Talent's stream today was phenomenal.
Is there more than one boss fight?
There are about 4 or 5, I believe. There's about
Christ!
10...
Oh my God! I'm much more excited now. I thought there was only one.
No, there's about 10 new weapons from I believe across the various hands, from what I've heard. A whole bunch of new clothes, a couple of new spells, like for the arcane people. All 3 of us. Yeah, there's shitloads going on. Like, there's loads.
Oh man, I thought it was going to be. Oh, okay. I'm well into this now because I've been avoiding it sort of. Wow.
Are you going to start a new character, or have you got one in New Game Plus that you're going to sort of push on with?
I've actually got 2 Bloodborne characters. I wanted to ask this. Is that I've got one in New Game Plus with a burial blade, all fully upgraded, and I've got another character who is a new game just before ROM, and I was just wondering like which guy should I use?
Based
as I can
on
tell,
what we know,
new game is supposed to be the way. But I think Gary Duton was saying that things are really difficult in New Game Plus with the new guys. But
and something like level, by the time you're at ROM, you should be around between level 60 to 70 or so. That's what appears to be the believed best time to start it. I don't know if that's true. They might be liars. They might be better than us. They might be far better than us. But 60 to 70 appears to be the you're in, and it looks like it unlocks really quickly as well. Like it's not some cryptic bullshit. Yeah. Well, it is, but
I hope it is. No, so okay, so I might just go with my ROM character because facing that DLC, I've heard it's really tough.
Yeah,
so facing
the
that DLC
stuff I saw was
should be.
But more on that very soon.
Very soon.
So, thank you very much for joining us, Sayem.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated. If you would be so kind as to let folks how they can find you and the cool stuff you have coming up.
It's my Twitter is at Sayem Ahmed without the E, and my website is www.sayemahmed.com, which is the same as my Twitter handle. And that's about it, really.
And you've got you can talk about the review that's coming up, can't you?
Oh yes, I can. The little I've been working on a little review for the past week or so. It's only a tiny one. I've put 50 hours into it so far. It's a sequel to a game you might have heard of. It's called Xenoblade Cross. It's huge.
I'm so excited for this game, Sam. I'm so excited for this game.
Dude, this game is it's a weird one, man. It's so big and there's so much about it, I don't know. Where like ask away. Like, what do you want to know? Because I don't know where to start.
I feel like I've touched into a few little bits on it now that I've obviously seen the screenshots and I've seen the trailers and I've watched the half-hour Nintendo Treehouse from a little while ago. I've listened to the entirety of Sawano's glorious soundtrack. I've watched YouTube footage last night and I watched a Games Radar playthrough on Twitch, and I still don't feel like I have the measure of the game at all. It feels wonderfully overwhelming.
Do you know? Do you want to know a thing? I don't have the measure of the game yet.
Wow.
I don't know.
After 50 hours.
After 50 hours of the game, there are still things to me that are unknown. They are systems in the game that are huge that I still can't quite grasp, just because it's the game. The progression is very, very interesting. Like, it constantly twists and turns as to what you're doing. It's like you guys have been playing Destiny a lot, right? It's a lot more like Destiny than it is anything else. I think. There's different currencies to manage. There's different things you've got to do and to do certain things. Like, there's real odd NPC dialogue, which is really cool. Like, it's stilted in a perfect way. Think Deadly Premonition or Dragon's Dogma style. And this game is very, very quickly becoming a favourite of mine.
Because you see, I'd heard that that there was going to be quite a disparity in reviews. That there are some folks, there's some journalists that just won't click with it, and others that will. And I know that you like your sci-fi, you like your mechs, you like your. It just looks like a decent fit for you to. Yeah, like to get an informed measure of it that would reflect well on my own thoughts.
Yeah, like if someone were to make and tailor a game for me, the closest thing to it would probably be Xenoblade Cross. Like, I understand the inspirations behind a lot of everything, which is super interesting, and I know the pedigree of this game, Like they've got a bunch of people on staff that are absolutely incredible. So that's interesting. Sorry, someone just knocked on the door. But yeah, I understand the measure of the game, and the thing is that overwhelming is the word to use, because there's so much to it, and then that's just what's going on underneath. On the outside, the exterior of the game is so vast and beautiful that it's incredible, and I've not even explored 2 entire continents yet.
Because it's supposed to be something like, is it 3 times as big as The Witcher 3's world?
I absolutely believe that. Like,
That's
like
crazy.
there's a whole massive aspect to the game which I think is just scale, really. You start off as just a person with your couple of guys, and that's cool. And then you see these huge monsters, and you're like, whoa, that looks amazing. And you look around, and everything around you, up, down, left, right, there's always something to see. And the thing that got me is that 35 hours in, I finally got a Skell, which is like this mech robot.
It transforms into a vehicle as well. Yeah?
And it transforms into a vehicle. And the closest thing I could probably liken it to, like in terms of traversal, is like the Lord vessel, or an airship if in Final Fantasy. But at the same time, it changes mechanics as well. So,
because isn't there the thing that you can run across the landscape and the monsters won't look at you because you're so tiny, but once you're in a mech, all of a sudden you become a threat to them, and they will come for you. That's incredible.
That is such a weird little stunning bit of design that they've done there. And what they've done actually is that your camera perspective can change if you press like R and like zoom out and zoom in. So as soon as you get in the Skell, you have to zoom out, because instantly you see the world in a like it is much more vast than you have ever imagined. This is easily like the biggest game I've ever played. Like I haven't got the flight unit yet, so like you start to see like the whole design has like a multi-tiered level to it of like the entire world, and I just think that this game has had a lot of work put into it. It takes like a lot of my favourite elements of a lot of games and melds them into this sort of. It's messy, yeah. Like a bit of it is bad, but I can't really say what is, because that's the thing of the embargo. I can talk about it, but I can't be super critical yet. But yeah, it is huge, and it's so multi-tiered and multifaceted. Like this game is like an endless ocean, and I'm only really starting to get into it, to be honest.
Do you think that the levels of it sort of being incredible, and the levels where it maybe misfires a little bit, are down to ambition, and that within that there's certain stuff it reaches for and does, and then other things that it stuffs up a bit?
I think that the bits that the game does poorly are some bits of the mission design. Like you'll understand this when you play it like quite soon. Like I was talking to someone else, an unnamed reviewer, and they had the same thing in the exact same place, and I just think it's a case of archaic design rather than anything else, to be honest. Like that is the only big black mark that I would put on this game, because there's a whole Monster Hunter element to it. You lock on to bits and then cut them off and then use them as parts to make for other stuff.
Sayem, you've mentioned Dragon's Dogma now and Monster Hunter.
No.
Are you trying to do this to me?
But
tell him how it's like Dark Souls as well, and he's done.
This is like game lube.
Are there any Skylanders in it?
Well, actually, the combat, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so vast. It's just so huge, and I do have little niggles with it, which I will mention in my review, which is going to go up on Vice on the 30th of November 2015.
Plug.
Yes, but it's one that deserves your attention, just because you don't see a lot of games like this anymore, which is like, I'm talking about weird Japanese curios, really.
Good call.
You don't really see many games like this at all. It commands your time. Like, you have to play this game if you have an inkling of interest in Japanese RPGs. Like,
well, it's my birthday on Saturday, and I get paid on Friday, so I am all in and a bowl of biscuits to this. I really, really am. Did you download because there's 4? Is it 4 or 5 data packs?
So there are 4 data packs.
You can download, and
what is that all about?
Okay, so basically the game's too big to fit in on the disc.
Right.
So you have to download these data packs to make it run better and stream assets in quicker and things like that. Just because, like, you'll understand if you imagine the scale that I'm talking about. Like, this game is like for the Wii U. Oh my god! It's amazing that they've managed to make it run on that console. Like, the open world is so seamless. It's like the only loading screen you'll get is if you fast travel somewhere. Other than that, even when you're in or out of a sea, there are no loading screens. And this is this is for a game that is like 4 times the size of The Witcher or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they said like three times the size of The Witcher and 5 times the size of Skyrim, I think.
I definitely believe that. I definitely see that. It is just crazy. I just can't, like, I'm at a bit of a hump with the game at the moment, which is like, I'm quite later on in the game now, because I am wanting to finish the story for a review. So there is a lot of side quests and a lot of stuff that I have left to the side a little bit to return to later. But there is a lot of it. There's just a lot of this game. Even for me, who I can finish 100-hour games in weeks, I am taking my time with Xenoblade because it is one of those games where you have to really get your head around everything that it is, and to do that, it just takes such a long time to do.
Yeah, to me, like the level of kind of
the level of depth is crazy.
70s, 80s sci-fi as well meets sort of Harryhausen type monsters. This is every button of mine pushed.
And there's the soundtrack. Oh my god, like, you've heard it, haven't you? But it's just another massive hook of the game. Like, I had a friend come round and I was just playing it in the background. And they were like, "Wait, is that music in the game?" I was like, "Yep." I was like, "Holy shit, that's come far." You know?
Yeah, he's my favourite soundtrack musician, and I will give an insight. I may well have milked much of Hiroyuki Sawano for an upcoming Sound of Play.
Oh, really?
I will tease that one out there immediately.
Yeah, Hiroyuki Sawano. He also did the Gundam Unicorn soundtrack.
He did, and Aldnoah Zero.
And Aldnoah Zero.
I love it. And he's there's a Jay Taylor was telling me that Netflix have invested in another anime that's just gone up called The Seven Deadly Sins, and he's done the soundtrack to that as well, which makes me
and like the mech designer for Xenoblade is ex Metal Gear Solid, ex Gundam designer. So
really,
yeah,
I knew about the Gundam thing. I didn't realise he was a Metal Gear guy.
Yeah, it's not the Metal Gear guy, but it's a Metal Gear guy. I want to say something Yanase is their name. I definitely talk about it in a preview which is due to go up on Kotaku UK coming soon.
Well, you'll have to give us the link when that goes up, and we'll plug the fuck out of it.
I'll definitely do that. But yeah, the mech designer, there's such a huge pedigree to this game. I mean, it is the all-stars of like background hidden stuff, and it all comes together in a spectacular fashion. So I just hope that this game sells well, because I am afraid of that, and that's why I'm talking about it so much. I want people to play this game because it deserves to be played.
I know quite a few people that are picking it up, and I know you can say your own Twitter isn't exactly kind of a metric for general sales, but
yeah.
there are a few people that I know that are actually buying Wii U's for this.
Really?
Yeah, so
I would say
that's
if
kind of cool.
there's any game to buy a Wii U for, it's this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
so-
come see us for extra recommendations.
Oh dear. I wish I had a capture card because the embargo says I can stream 3 hours of it, but I don't have a capture card, so I can't do that. But oh well.
So a sexy veer off topic towards the end there, but hopefully Souls fans will understand, because we do want people to play this game because it does look ace. Well, Sayem and I do. I think
I'm ambivalent, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to everyone's taste, though.
Right, well, thank you very much again, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a
And
pleasure. It's been wonderful.
It's been awesome to have you on, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Cool.
Indeed, it has.
Cheer, bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Sayem Ahmed.
Bye-bye. Signing out.
Goodbye. Bye, Sayem.
Hidetaka Miyazaki signing out.
That's bye from me, Charlene.
We could be talking about the Shaded Woods or the Old Hunters DLC. Maybe the beta for Dark Souls 3. You see, it really doesn't matter much to me. I'm not talking about summoning, and I don't wanna take your life. But there's some Bloodborne DLC coming out, and I'd really love to podcast tonight. I won't ask for competence, so you don't have to try. We've both played this game before, summoning and then we both die. I'm not talking about summoning, and I don't wanna take your life. But I think I've found some cool scholar things, and I'd really love to podcast tonight. I'm not talking about summoning, and I don't wanna take your life. But there's a sun to praise in the sky so bright, and I'd really love